Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're stepping into a time machine, but not to witness grand battles or the crowning of kings. Instead, we're going to explore something far more fundamental, something that connects us directly to our ancestors, their daily struggle for survival. How did people live, eat, and stay safe in a world without supermarkets, modern medicine, or even a roof that was guaranteed to be there tomorrow? Let's find out. Imagine waking up not to the sound of an alarm clock, but to the first light of dawn filtering through the cracks of a simple hut made of mud, wood, and thatch. Your first thought isn't about checking your phone or what to wear. It's about fire. The embers from last night's fire need to be carefully coaxed back to life. This fire is everything. It's your warmth against the biting cold, your protection against predators that roam in the darkness, and the tool that will cook your food, making it safe and digestible. Letting it go out could be a disaster. Once the fire is crackling, the day's work begins, and it's a team effort. For our hunter-gatherer ancestors, the group would split. Some, often the men, would head out to hunt. This wasn't a quick trip to the butcher. It was a long, arduous trek, tracking animals for miles, sometimes for days. They used spears, bows, and arrows they crafted themselves. A successful hunt meant a feast and a supply of meat. But failure was common. It meant returning empty-handed, with everyone going hungry. Meanwhile, others, often women and children, would forage. This was just as crucial as hunting. They were the botanists of their time, with an incredible knowledge of the local environment. They knew which plants were edible, which were medicinal, and which were deadly poisonous. They'd gather berries, nuts, roots, and edible leaves. This wasn't just salad. These plants provided essential vitamins and a more reliable food source than the unpredictable hunt. Children learned from a young age, watching their elders, tasting, smelling, and memorizing this vital library of natural knowledge. So what was on the menu? It was completely seasonal and regional. In a good season, you might have roasted deer or wild boar, supplemented with a variety of wild greens, berries, and perhaps some fish if you lived near a river. But in lean times, it could be grubs, insects, and tough roots that required hours of processing to become edible. Nothing was wasted. Bones were cracked open for their marrow, a rich source of fat. Hides were tanned to make clothing, blankets, and shelters. Even sinew was used as cordage. Every part of the animal had a purpose. Let's talk about water. Today we turn on a tap. For them, finding clean water was a daily chore. They had to know the location of springs, rivers, or streams that weren't contaminated. They would carry water back to camp in animal skins or clay pots. A contaminated water source could wipe out an entire group with diseases like dysentery, so choosing where to get your water was a life or death decision. They didn't have water filters. Their filter was generational knowledge passed down. Now let's move forward a bit to the first agricultural societies. The invention of farming, the Neolithic Revolution, was a game changer, but it didn't necessarily make life easier, at least not at first. Yes, you could grow your own food, like wheat, barley, or rice. This provided a more stable food supply than hunting and gathering, but it came at a price. Farming is back-breaking work. From dawn till dusk, you were out in the fields, plowing with simple wooden tools, maybe pulled by an ox if you were lucky. You were planting seeds, weeding relentlessly, and praying the rains would come at the right time. A drought could mean starvation for your entire village. A flood could wipe out your entire year's crop in a single day. Pests, like locusts, could descend and devour everything. Your survival was tied to the whims of nature in a way that's hard for us to imagine. The diet also changed. While you had more food, it was often less varied. Early farmers subsisted mainly on grain-based porridges and breads. This shift in diet had consequences. Archaeological evidence shows that early farmers were often shorter and had more signs of malnutrition and dental problems than their hunter-gatherer predecessors because their diet lacked the variety of nutrients. And what about staying healthy? Without antibiotics or vaccines, a simple cut could be a death sentence. If it got infected, that was it. A broken leg could mean you were unable to work, becoming a burden on your family, or if you were alone, it meant certain death. People relied on folk remedies and medicinal plants. A woman in the village might be skilled in midwifery and herbalism, her knowledge passed down through generations. She'd know which plants could soothe a fever, which could be used as a poultice for a wound, and which could ease pain. It was a mix of practical knowledge and spiritual belief. Sometimes it worked. Many times it didn't. Life expectancy was brutally short. If you survived childhood, which was a huge if, making it to 40 was a real achievement. Shelter also evolved. From caves and temporary huts, people started building more permanent homes. In early farming villages, these were often small one-room houses made from wattle and daub, a framework of woven sticks packed with mud, clay, and straw. The whole family, and sometimes their animals, would live together in this single space. It was crowded, smoky from the central fire, and not very private. But it was home. It was a defensible space that offered protection from the elements and from outsiders. Security was a constant concern. This wasn't just about wild animals anymore. As people settled down and accumulated resources like stored grain and livestock, they became targets. A neighboring tribe might see your full granary as their ticket to surviving the winter. So, villages were often built in defensive positions, on hills, or surrounded by wooden palisades. Everyone had to be ready to defend their home and their food supply. Your neighbors weren't just people you lived next to. They were your defense force, your support network. Community was the ultimate survival tool. No one survived alone. The bonds of kinship and community were everything. People shared food, helped build each other's homes, cared for the sick, and defended the group together. If your hunt failed, you relied on the generosity of your neighbor whose hunt succeeded. If your crop failed, you hoped the community's shared surplus would see you through. Ostracism from the group was one of the worst punishments imaginable, because it was essentially a death sentence. Thinking about their daily lives really puts our own into perspective. We worry about Wi-Fi signals, traffic jams, and what to watch next. They worried about whether they would eat, whether they would be warm, and whether they would live to see the next day. Every single day was a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and cooperation. The skills they had, the knowledge of their natural world, was immense. They were true survivors, and their struggles paved the way for everything we have today. Every time you eat a meal, drink clean water, or sleep safely in your home, it's worth remembering the millions of ancestors who fought for survival every single day to make our lives possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. I hope it gave you a new appreciation for the comforts we often take for granted. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more explorations into our incredible past. See you in the next one.